is nothing in comparison to the conditions of the people of Gaza, who have been living without proper shelter for over 2 years. The cold in Gaza has killed dozens of people so far, including 29-day-old Asad Abadan and 2-week-old Mohammed Khalil Abu Kahal. 2 children who only knew cold and terror their entire lives. Neither were even a month old. This crime is only made possible by the genocidal Israeli apartheid state, supported by our government and funded by our tax dollars. Israel daily violates the supposed ceasefire agreement, killing hundreds of Palestinians. We all know this agreement is a farce, because as far as Israel is concerned, ceasefire means you cease, we fire. Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
From the belly of the beast!
From the belly of the beast!
Hands off the Middle East!
Hands off the Middle East!
From the belly of the beast!
From the belly of the beast!
Hands off the Middle East!
Hands off the Middle East!
While you're driving, bombs are dropping!
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 While you're driving, kids are freezing!
While you're driving, kids are freezing!
While you're driving, kids are starving!
While you're driving, kids are starving!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
The 5th and 24, the heroes who took action by sabotaging the facilities of Israeli weapon manufacturer Elbit Systems. They have been held as political prisoners by the British government, and 8 of them have begun a hunger strike to protest their inhumane conditions. 6 of them are still on strike for over 50 days. Kessel Zoran, age 20, Amr Gib, age 30, Heber Marasi, age 31, Tuta Hoja, age 29, Kamran Ahmed, age 28, and Louis Charmelos, age 22. Remember their names. They and their organization, Palestine Action, have been labeled terrorists by Keir Starmer's British government. This government, which has stood by and funded and facilitated even running reconnaissance flights for the Israeli occupation over Gaza. I say that Keir Starmer is a terrorist. I say that his war criminal government are the terrorists. I say that Netanyahu and his cabinet of murderers are the terrorists. I say that Donald Trump and every American politician who has helped fund and facilitate this atrocity are the terrorists. Palestine Action is a moral and just organization that will be remembered for their courageous actions against a genocidal capitalist system. They will be remembered as heroes once the system of imperialism has been destroyed and a new one built in its place. One where children do not freeze to death and are not starved, where babies are not shot in the head by snipers, and children attend schools and play instead of being shredded by American bombs. In the words of another courageous hunger striker from the UK, Bobby Sands, our children's laughter will be our greatest revenge. Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
It's beautiful to see people get married, and I can't help but think of the fact that just a week or so ago, Israel bombed a wedding in Gaza. Israel bombed a wedding in Gaza because there is no such thing as a ceasefire during a genocide. There is no such thing as a ceasefire during an occupation. The bombs keep dropping, and they call it a ceasefire. The aid is restricted. The starvation is happening. The freezing is happening. And what we have to understand is that we need to take an honest assessment of our role as Americans and as people living in the West in the imperial core. Because the fact of the matter is, 2 years of this escalation of genocide And it's only been able to last that long because those of us in the imperial core have failed our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of us who care. There are a lot of us who are trying. But are we trying like our own lives depend on it? Are we always trying like other people's lives depend on it? It's not enough. It's not enough for us to do something that helps clear our conscience, but that we know isn't necessarily going to shift the needle or make a material change. And that's why we have to understand that if we cut off the money from this country, if we cut off the weapons from this country, Israel crumbles a day later. If we cut off the money and the weapons and the political support, the Zionist settler colony cannot commit genocide. It cannot maintain the occupation. It cannot survive without our funds. It cannot survive without our material support. So we have an obligation to stop it. Now, how can we do that? Since April, the Harrisburg Palestine Coalition has been picketing and confronting General Dynamics in Red Lion. General Dynamics is the 5th largest arms manufacturer in the world. They produce many of the bombs that are sent to Israel to murder Palestinian families in tents. General Dynamics has a massive facility in Scranton, Pennsylvania. They have offices all over the state of Pennsylvania. They have offices all over this country that play an integral role in committing this genocide. And other companies like them play a similar role. Lockheed Martin, Boeing, BAE, Elbit Systems, Raytheon. These companies are the companies that are slaughtering people in Palestine and around the world, and they're doing it in our own backyards. General Dynamics also produces surveillance equipment that separates families at the U.S.-Mexico border. They produce weapons that are sent to police departments all over this country to terrorize predominantly black and brown working class communities. They produce the kind of surveillance equipment that track people all over this country and uphold the surveillance state that keeps tabs on all of us. They exploit prison labor, which is tantamount to slavery. If you take issue with any single one of these pillars that uphold the fascist project that we are all up against, General Dynamics is your enemy too. And so, it isn't enough for us to go online and express our discontent, although it's important. It's not enough for us to gather here at the Capitol and rally, although it's important. It's important for awareness. It's important to show the people of Palestine that they haven't been forgotten. But if we want to really make a change, it has to be a material one. So we call on everybody, come to the pickets. We're going to be there on January 16th, 7:30 a.m. Yeah, that's early. But that's not any more inconvenient than having a tent bombed. That's not any more inconvenient than freezing to death. That's not any more inconvenient than having to walk from the north of Gaza to the south, being bombed all along the way, only to have to walk back to the north on death marches because a genocidal settler colony is bombing you. Resistance isn't comfortable and it's not convenient. And it's all relative. We've got it pretty good here, but we have our problems too, and they are mounting. And we need to nip it in the bud before it's too late. What happens to Palestine is something that the world will face too. The global south first will continue to face what we have inflicted on Palestine. And if you think that the politicians who supposedly represent you, who are willing to bomb a child over there, won't be willing to bomb our children over here, think again. Because we've seen what this country will do. We've seen the move bombing in Philadelphia in 1985. We've seen that those guns that we shoot at everywhere else in the world are pointed back at us as soon as it feels necessary for the fascists, for the imperialists, for the capitalists. So come to Red Lion, join the picket, join the fight. Don't let them set the terms for the world that we live in. We can set the terms. We can take the system back. We can say no. From the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
From the sea to the river.
From the sea to the river.
Palestine will live forever.
Palestine will live forever.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Palestine will never die.
Palestine will never die.
Gaza
Have been killed by the Israeli occupation.
Shame!
That comes as Donald Trump and his cabinet are supposedly ensuring the ceasefire. But we all know the truth, which is that they are complicit in the settler colonial expansion into Gaza and the West Bank and trying to destroy Palestine. The reason that the ceasefire has been reached at all is because Israel was unable to achieve its war aims because of the brave resistance from the Palestinians. And it should be noted that the resistance is always legally and morally justified when they are fighting, especially against genocide. And if genocide is the crime of crimes, then the Palestinian resistance are the heroes of heroes. So, as we continue our struggle towards liberation, we must always never throw the Palestinian resistance under the bus. We must always stand by them and never be afraid or falter in your support for them.
Palestine!
single day. They take those videos too. The weapons company take those videos of the carnage and the terror and they use it as advertising. They use it to sell to other countries, to other despots around this world and say, look at what our bombs can do. Look at how efficiently we can tear families to shreds. Look at how efficiently we can kill by our products. They use it as an advertisement. They use it as an advertisement. When we say that in our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians, it's because we understand that what happens to Palestine can, will, and does happen to the other people of the world. It is not sufficient. It is not sufficient for us to say we don't like that. It's not enough to say we don't like it. We have an obligation to stop it. We have an obligation to intervene. Look at how some of the poorest people on the planet, look at how some of the poorest people on the planet have risen up. Look at how the people of Yemen, despite facing years of famine of their own imposed by Saudi Arabia with American support, despite them being bombed and burned, look at how they invest a naval blockade to protect the people of Palestine. If Yemen can do it, why can't those of us who are more comfortable in the imperial core do it? If our comrades in the UK, who are starving themselves for liberation, are able to intervene with weapons manufacturers, why can't those of us in other Western countries intervene? We see around the world what resistance looks like, and we understand that we have an obligation to join. We have an obligation to fight. And if for some reason your heart is hardened toward Palestine, if for some reason that doesn't motivate you to take action, does us being at risk motivate you? Does protecting your own life and well-being motivate you? Because if they don't hesitate to pull the trigger on them, don't trick yourself into thinking that they would hesitate to pull the trigger on us. We've seen how ICE came for pro-Palestine protesters. We saw how ICE tore people in our own movement away from their families, from pregnant spouses, from newborn children, from their husbands and their parents. And we see how it's not enough to say that ICE, which is, for all intents and purposes, a Gestapo, it's not enough to say they're coming for immigrants, whether they're undocumented or documented. We've seen ICE come for indigenous people on their own land, here on this continent. There is no one that they won't come for. So if your heart is hardened towards Palestine, Learn how to soften it up, because we are all in this together. Palestine should be enough to motivate you. Palestine should be enough to motivate you, but if it's not, protect yourself and your family too, because the fascists who are coming for you here have already come for them abroad. From the river to the sea,
From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
Just to get over the names of children aged 0 to 2 years old. By the time we got here 5 days, we had only reached the early teenagers as we went through the names of tens of thousands of known murders. And understand this, those names that we had, the pages upon pages, thousands upon thousands of names listed, are only a fraction of those known. Those are the known names, only a fraction of those killed. And since the so-called ceasefire was put in place on the last day of that vigil, that death toll has only risen, because a ceasefire means Palestinians cease and Israel follows. That is why we are here today. That is why we will continue to be here regularly. That is why our activities will continue in Harrisburg, in Central PA, in Redline, around this state, and around this country. Because if we cut off the money, and if we cut off the bombs, the genocide ends. If we cut off the money, and we cut off the bombs, the genocide ends. And we have the power to do it. When I say people, we say power, people, 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 from the river to the sea,
From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
We live in the engine of global imperialism. The fascism we see here at home is the engine of global fascism. Zionism is one pillar of global fascism. We've seen this fascism have a resurgence throughout Europe. We've seen it have a resurgence throughout this continent. We understand that it is one part of a much larger whole, but this is the belly of the beast, because this is where the money is centralized. This is where capital is situated and concentrated and calling the shots. And we know that it's throughout the West, but the United States is providing most of the weapons. The United States is providing most of the bombs and the money and the funding. Look at what happened when we tried to see a ceasefire resolution passed at the United Nations. Almost every country in the world called for a ceasefire, but this country, the United States of America, held a gun to the world's head and said no ceasefire. We held a gun to the world's head and said no ceasefire. So those of us here who live here are obligated to fight back. If you don't like what your politicians say and do, if you don't like that your politicians murder children abroad and take from you here at home, you have to get up and do something about it. You have to get up and confront them. We have to confront them. We have to confront the companies too. General Dynamics, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, BAE, and Boeing. They make a living by making a killing. They make a living by producing bombs to drop on families. And if you don't like it, you have to confront them with us. Use that money to rebuild.
Use that money to rebuild.
Not to get more families killed.
Not to get more families killed.
Say it's my job. When people who stay here at home and point guns at communities say it's my job, we've heard it's my job before. We've heard I was just following orders before. We know what that looks like. We know that this is a Holocaust in Palestine. We know it's no excuse. Pennsylvania, it is time.
Pennsylvania, it is time
To stop funding genocide.
to stop funding genocide.
Pennsylvania, it is time.
Pennsylvania, it is time
To stop arming genocide.
to stop arming genocide.
Use that money to rebuild.
Use that money to rebuild.
Not to get
not to get more families killed.
Who are the only so-called country in the world that tried children in front of a military tribunal as Palestinian children in the West Bengal. Where there's hunger strikers in the UK who have gone 50 days without food and their own government won't even meet them or release them. We say free our prisoners, free them all!
Free our prisoners, free them all.
Break the chains and let them fall!
Break